for quite a number of years now. We're also joined by a few former Select Board members, including our current State Representative, Michelle Socolo. And we have with us Norman Cohen. And Don McKenna. And if I left anyone out I didn't know was here, please scream. And I also want to send a special thank you to the senior management team. If the senior management team, if you're not already standing, if you could please rise. And a big thank you for all your work every day. None of us can be successful without all the work you do. And a very special thank you to Jim's wife, Kay. Kay, if you could stand for 1 minute. Thank you, Kay, for supporting Jim throughout his career and allowing us to steal him on these late evening meetings. And, we know he couldn't have done it without you. And we're just so happy and grateful for you allowing him to be with us all these years. Lastly, I want to recognize some of our elected officials. We have, again, State Representative Michelle Socolo, and next to her is Mike Barrett, our state senator. And if I left anyone out, thank you again for coming. We appreciate it. So our first speaker this afternoon is Colonel Jorge Jimenez from the Hanscom Air Force Base. He is the installation commander at Hanscom, and the floor is yours. Please come up.
Good afternoon. What a great day. A lot of happy people. Jim and I, we have only known each other for about a month. That's it. I wish I could tell the great stories that I had with him, but I don't have too many. We did meet once, and it was a very joyous occasion. I'm sorry that we don't get to spend more time together, but the little time that I met you, I knew we would click. He has a lot of passion for travel, for food, family, but public service is definitely his mark. So you already heard it, 37 years of service. So Jim, I appreciate you, all those years of service. Also in the military, we tend to get a lot of thanks for what we do, but public service, anyone that does public service, you do it, you definitely don't do it for the money. You do it for the good of the people, and you do it for others. So looking forward to continue the great relationships that you have established and sustained between Team Hanscom and the town of Lexington. We are proud to be involved with all these events, and a lot has to do with you and the rest of the team that has been addressed before. Looking forward to more of that partnership. So with that, on behalf of Team Hanscom, I got a little present for you that I think most of you should be able to recognize the meaning and the importance of it. So Jim, if you could step forward real quick. It's not an airplane, no. It has a little bit more of a historic into this area. I presume you'll recognize the Paul Revere lantern? Here. It's not the original, though. You polish it off a little bit. They decided to scroll with the history of the Paul Revere. And we can carry it here for the rest of the military. Thank you for all you do, sir. All the best.
Thank you, Colonel. And thanks for your kind words, and we look forward to continued partnership with Hanscom here in Lexington. Next, I'd like to welcome up our State Representative, Michelle Socolo. And as many of you know, Michelle's been a lifelong Lexington resident and passionate about advocating for the Lexington community. She's going to present a special citation for Jim.
Thanks, Doug. It's tremendous to be with all of you today to celebrate Jim's career. just looking around the room, I'm just so impressed by how many former town managers are here. That really speaks to your incredible career and the respect that your colleagues have had for you and the work that you've done. It's shocking to think it's been 37 years. I was privileged to overlap with Jim for a very short period of time as I was leaving the board and starting my new role. And he just hit the ground running with such confidence, steady hand, great demeanor, and wonderful ability to connect with people. And it was clear to me that the board had chosen well when we chose Jim. So I really am just going to very quickly give you a citation. Also, I send my regards from Ken Gordon. Representative Gordon wanted to be here today, but he had a family emergency, so couldn't make it. But he wishes he were here very much. So, from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to James Malloy in recognition of your dedicated service as town manager for the past 6 years. Your commitment and care in this role have helped to honor Lexington's historic past and pave the way for an even brighter future. Thank you for all you have done. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. And it's given this 19th day of September at the State House and signed by Speaker of the House Ronald Mariano, and by myself, Michelle Socolo, and by Representative Ken Gordon. Jim, thank you for everything.
Thank you, Michelle. Now I'd like to introduce our state senator, also a Lexington resident, Mike Barrett, who will come up and read a citation. Mike?
Thank you, Doug. I'm here on behalf of myself and Senator Cindy Friedman. We're pleased to split the representation of Lexington between us. Lexington, for a town of 34,000, impressively, up at the State House, has 2 state reps, as Michelle mentioned, and 2 state senators. You're a powerhouse up there. And Jim has marshaled us as forces, we hope, for good on behalf of the town, and has been done a spectacular job of making sure that we commit our energies to a complicated set of priorities for the community, right? Because we've got new buildings to construct, and we've got 250th anniversaries to celebrate, and we have annoying airport expansions threatening. And so Jim has juggled an enormous amount and kept us all busy, and I'm grateful to you and for doing that so well. We do have a citation, Senator Friedman and I am pleased to present it to you, Jim. It is a citation of the state Senate, and be it known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its congratulations to you in recognition of your exemplary service to the town of Lexington, where you've really performed with distinction as town manager. We always solemnize this and make sure that it be further known that the citation be signed by the Senate President as well as by Senator Friedman and myself. So Karen Spilka signed this citation. Michael Hurley, the clerk of the Senate, did. But then they let Senator Friedman and I affix our names too. So we're really incredibly grateful to you because this has been a tumultuous time for government at every level. It's impressive amid all the reports of discord, most of them nationwide, but occasionally in Boston too, to see a very stable and very grown-up management of the relationship between town and state in this particular case. It's not always easy, Jim, and I'm very grateful to you for the incredible job you've done. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. We also have a citation from Congresswoman Catherine Clark's office, our federal representative, and they could not, someone was not able to be here today, but I'm going to read the citation on their behalf. This is from the Honorable Catherine Clark, a certificate of special congressional recognition presented to Jim Malloy in recognition of your service and retirement. Signed by Catherine Clark, Member of Congress. Now I'd like to introduce John Petrin, a peer and longtime friend of Jim's who has had a distinguished career in municipal management. John must have a lot of good stories to tell about Jim. So John, please come up. The floor is yours.
I saw Jim and Kay a couple weeks ago in Worcester, and I told them next time I see you, you might want to give me a hug before I speak. So I want to first thank Kathy for allowing me 45 minutes here today. It's interesting. So Jim, who did you tick off to have me as your peer speaker? And considering I'm the retired side, so peer on that side now going on. But I was prepared to tell the truth here to tell you about Jim. But I saw that was the only peer speaker, so I felt I needed to think of some nice things I could say to try to balance what I'm going to talk about here. So anyways, as noted, I'm the former town administrator in Burlington, your neighbor. So I retired in 2019. And just before I retired, I had to handle the negotiation of the water line that came through Lexington. So I wanted to thank Kathy for having the first email ever from someone from a Lexington address that wasn't trying to shake me down, during, that, because between Carl and then finished with Jim, basically I was being shaken down on that. They actually tried to get me to move the border so the Burlington Mall was actually in Lexington so you could get the revenue from that. But I said, no, whoa, wait a minute, I gotta, slow down on that one. I don't think I'll get that one passed. But it still continues, by the way. I saw Carl a couple of weeks ago, and a bunch of us got together for drinks, and he made sure I showed up so I could buy him the drinks. So that continues. But this goes on. One of my favorite stories about Jim goes back to San Jose in 2010, and Mark's here to verify it. But we were staying in San Jose at a conference, and a bunch of us. So I was at the Marriott Hotel, and I'm a Titanium elite member or something, so we were in the concierge lounge, and we were getting up into the concierge lounge, and when you go up there, it was a beautiful lounge on the 25th floor, and basically the beer and wine is free, so we were having drinks, and somehow Jim managed to get up there several times, because when I checked out at the end of my stay, I get the bill, and there's all these charges from the concierge lounge. I says, what's this all about? They looked it up. It's Maker's Mark. I says, I know who that is. So Jim was charging for several days to my account on that. So, it's going back to that. But I got to know Jim when he first came to Massachusetts in late 1994. I was the incoming president of the Massachusetts Managers Association at the time. So I had a responsibility to get to know the new people, even if they were coming from New York. And so I introduced Jim with my classic, hey, how are you? And got to be friends from there. But I got to know him even more when he was appointed by Trish Van Casey as the chair of the 2013 Boston ICMA Host Committee in 2005. I became his vice chair. So Kelly, I got to know what you've had to handle the last few years as his number two. What Jim does not want to do, you do. So I felt that during that period. But for the next 8 years, we got to work closely together with a great group of people. Jim truly got to show his leadership skills during that time. At one point, he got into a skiing accident and had me bringing pizza to his house so we could eat lunch with when Kay was working. We had to pay for that. Boston is still known as the best ICMA conference of all time. His leadership paid off in making that happen. We have been on many trips together and always have had a great time. even though it usually costs me. When we had a great time in Phoenix one year, going to various establishments to seek out a dinner site for the following year. That was quite an interesting couple of days. Huh? We had some fun on that one. During that trip, I was having a difficult time in my career, and Jim was a great help in consoling me and telling me how he handled being dumped. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to keep this clean. Forget that one. Went to Portland in 2021, and Jim became Massachusetts' first ICMA president ever. So ICMA has been in place a long time now, and he was the first Massachusetts representative ever from Massachusetts. So again, part of his leadership skills, and it was my pleasure to be at his conference, in attendance at that time. The last couple of years, Jim, Mark Purple, who's here as well, myself, we've been able to go to some Red Sox excursions. This year we went to LA and Denver. Of course, we decided to travel the weekend of the crowdsourced airline disaster this summer. So we had an interesting trip on that one. We went to 4 games in LA and Denver, and the Sox lost all 4 of those by a total score of 40-22, with one game being 20-7. Jim, Mark, I got a letter from the Boston Red Sox asking us to reconsider our plans for next year. So I guess we'll have to come up with something else. I did bring with me a picture of Jim. We were at the Griffith Observatory, and Hollywood signs in the back, so now I can call him Hollywood Jim based on this one. As I close my remarks, I want to welcome Jim to our retired group. The smile almost becomes permanent, which ticks off the active people. Jim, you have had a great career, and look forward to you being a part of our select group of retired managers. As I told you in Colorado this summer and a few other times, you are the one person I know that easily outtalks me when we get to our favorite topic, local government. The one person I have a problem in getting a word in edgewise with. You are a great friend, a great manager, and a better person. We wish you all best in your retirement.
Thank you so much, John. Next up, we have Adam Chapdelaine, the Massachusetts Municipal Association Executive Director. Adam has been a tireless advocate for cities and towns across the Commonwealth, and we're so excited to have him here today. Adam, please come up.
Good afternoon, everybody. John, I thought the 45 minutes was a joke. Kidding aside, really, really honored to be here. Interestingly enough, I think I was the president or in the leadership of the Managers Association when Carl retired. So this is my second Lexington town manager retirement opportunity to speak, which makes me feel quite old. But that being said, it is great to be here. Jim is somebody that I've known for the past, it's got to be 15 or 16 years, someone that I have viewed as a mentor, someone I then came to view as a colleague, and now I view as a friend, and someone I feel very warmly about. And from my perspective at the MMA, and when I think about local government across the Commonwealth and how we're stronger together, I think about Jim and the role he has played serving on boards across the MMA, serving on policy committees, the work he's done for the ICMA. But what I specifically think about is on a smaller scale, the connectivity he created when he came to work in Lexington with managers in the surrounding area. So before the pandemic, one of the major things a town manager would often think about is when it snowed, are we going to close town hall? Or are we going to put on a parking ban? Or what are the series of decisions we need to make about a snowstorm? And so Jim said, hey, we need to get everybody on a text chain to figure this out. So we can, instead of calling one another and doing a round of calls, let's just make some decisions. So he started a text chain about, I think maybe 7 or 8 of us, and then it became 10 or 12 of us, and this text chain still exists, and there's probably 15 or 20 of us on there. But it all started about snow decisions. It eventually then blossomed into a very intense pandemic decision-making text chain as times changed. But it speaks to you and the connectivity you brought among people that were doing hard jobs in municipal government. You showed leadership, you showed friendship, and you showed collaboration, and I'll always appreciate that. So to honor that, today I brought you a snow shovel. To honor what was dubbed, it's now called, the text chain is called something else now, but it was called the Snow Brigade. So when you're home and not worrying about snowplows and not worrying about town halls opening or closing and you're just shoveling, hopefully you'll think of us. Congratulations.
Adam, thank you for your insight, and that'll come in handy. That's actually probably one of the most useful gifts you'll get today. And now we're honored to hear from Steve Bartha, the current town manager of Danvers, representing the International City County Management Association. We will be seeing more of Steve in the future as well. So Steve, please come forward, and you have some pre-recorded messages as well. Thanks, Steve.
In case you're wondering, the current iteration of the text chain is the Diamond Dogs. And I'm sad to say I need these. I do have a letter that I'm going to read, so I'm going to put them on now, and there's no shame in that. But as Doug said, my name is Steve Bartha. I will be the town manager in Danvers, Massachusetts for a little bit longer, but I'm actually here tonight representing the ICMA as one of the 3 vice presidents for the Northeast region. It really is an honor to be here, to be part of this event. But I have to share a funny story before I get into the serious stuff. I got a phone call from ICMA the day before the screening committee interviews were taking place. And they said, hey, would you be willing to go to Jim's retirement party and present him something on behalf of ICMA? And I said, well, that's a really complicated question. And they said, why? And I said, I'm interviewing for his job tomorrow. And so we had a conversation. She said, why don't you follow up with me after this thing plays itself out and we can revisit this conversation? So I'm excited to be here on multiple levels tonight. But most importantly, it's to honor Jim as a member of the ICMA since 1988. Jim is a credentialed manager. As you've heard from 2 of the prior speakers, he's been a mentor and a colleague and a confidant to many managers, not just in Massachusetts, but across the country. And having just been in Pittsburgh with him at the ICMA conference, I will tell you that when you travel the hallways with Jim, it's like being in the presence of a celebrity. Everybody pushes past you to shake his hand and say hello to Jim because he's touched thousands and thousands of people in our profession across the country and across the globe. I do have, you will hear a video from some of his colleagues from his time on the board in a moment, but I have a letter that I would like to read on behalf of Mark Ott, who is the executive director for the ICMA. I'll try to use my Mark voice. Dear Jim, on behalf of ICMA, I want to extend our warmest congratulations on your retirement. Your tenure as town manager of Lexington was a remarkable final chapter of a career marked by exceptional leadership, dedication to public service, and significant contributions to Lexington and all of the communities that you served, both in Massachusetts and Colorado. He skipped New York. ICMA has been fortunate to have you as both a member and as a leader. Your active participation in the organization, including your service as ICMA's president from 2020 to 2021, which was a particularly difficult time, if anybody remembers back then, and on the host committee for the 2013 annual conference in Boston, has been instrumental in advancing our mission and promoting professional excellence among local government managers. Your insights, expertise, and commitment to ethical leadership have inspired and guided countless colleagues throughout your career. Your presidency of ICMA was particularly notable for the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Under your leadership, ICMA adapted to the rapidly evolving circumstances and developed resources to support local government managers as they navigated the crisis. Your vision and guidance were instrumental in ensuring that ICMA remained a vital resource for the profession during this unprecedented time, leading to the development of valuable content aimed at helping managers lead their communities through recovery. Your board class recognized the profound impact of George Floyd's murder on communities across the nation and responded by issuing a statement condemning systemic racism, along with a set of action steps which to this day continue to guide ICMA's efforts on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You continued to walk the talk of your commitment to DEI as a member of the inaugural class of ICMA's Leadership Institute on Race, Equity, and Inclusion. As you embark on this new chapter of your life, we wish you all the best. We are confident that your legacy of service will continue to have a lasting impact on the local government profession. Thank you again for your dedication to ICMA and for your invaluable contributions to the profession. It has been an honor to serve with you. Best regards, Mark Ott, ICMA CEO and Executive Director.
So we are all here for past presidents of ICMA to give 4 presidents to another president. Our sincere congratulations and a wonderful career for Jim Malloy. You have totally earned this retirement. We're so happy for you and your family, and can't wait to see what you do next.
Happy retirement, Jim. The thing I want you to remember is our amazing trip to India together before COVID shut everything down for both of us. And our years as president were kind of a bust, but we loved every minute of it, of course, and I really, really appreciated serving with you. You are a rock star. Congratulations.
Jim, congratulations from Moore Park. We first met through ICMA, actually, through our work on the Diversity and Equity Committee. And I thought at that time that you were really a quiet guy. And boy, did I come to learn I got that one wrong. But Jim, you've taught me so much. You've been a great friend, a great confidant. I'm really excited for UK and the rest of your family. Congratulations to you. Many more, my friend.
I'm Jeff Towery in McMinnville, Oregon. I had a chance to serve with Jim for 4 years. We were regional vice presidents together, and then when I joined the board as president-elect, Jim was the past president. So I feel like I've had a lot of experience with Jim. He's become one of my closest friends in the profession, except for these people that are all better friends than he is. Have had a lot of great memories. Jim and Kay have visited Doris and I in Oregon. We have stayed with them in Massachusetts, and we know we'll be lifelong friends even after this. I was tickled to find out this year that when Jim rode his bike for 62 miles on his 62nd birthday, it was also 62 days exactly from his retirement. Congratulations, Jim.
All right. We love you, Jim.
We love you, Jim. Can you do a big president? Come on.
So with that, and on behalf of ICMA, I'm privileged to present Jim with a Life Membership Award, which is certainly deserved, and I'm very excited to be able to share this with you, Jim.
Thank you so much, Steve. Next up, we have representing our senior management team, our Deputy Town Manager, Kelly Axtell. And Kelly, as you all know, works hand in hand with Jim every day, trying to keep our town moving forward. So come on up, Kelly.
Take my glasses off, some put them on. So again, I'm Kelly Axtell, the Deputy Town Manager here in Lexington, and over the last 37 years, I think I'm up to 5 people have said that, Jim Malloy has been many things to many people in many places. For his first 5 years in Colorado, he served as a legislative aide, an intern, an assistant to the county manager, and eventually he became the county manager himself. He spent 2 years in New York, adding village manager to his list of titles. Once he made his way to Massachusetts, Jim settled in. In Sturbridge, he wore the hat of town administrator for the better part of 15 years. In Westboro, he spent almost a decade as their town manager. And now in Lexington, Jim is wrapping up 6 years as our town manager. But he has been so much more than that during his tenure in this historic community. Jim has been a leader, a mentor, and a friend. He's taken every opportunity to share his wisdom and experience with me. He's listened when I've needed an ear and spoken when I've needed advice. He's shown me grace amid struggle and praise after success. Jim found a learning opportunity in every situation, offering his wisdom and knowledge to me in moments big and small. And he encouraged me to take chances and break the cycle of doing things the way we've always done them. For the last 6 years, Jim has guided this town through some rough waters, including a global health crisis none of us saw coming. I know I speak for the town staff when I say we are eternally grateful for the work he has done, the kindness he has shown to all of us, and the memories we've made together along the way. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Kelly, and thanks for your words and for your continued commitment to the town of Lexington. Now the fun part is a presentation of gifts from the Select Board. Each of us will come up and say a few words about Jim, and we'll start off with Joe Pato.
So good afternoon. It's been my pleasure and honor to serve with Jim in his commitment to public service for these past 6 years, and in particular for the past year and a half, a year of which I was chair of the board. And in that relationship with Jim, I found a cooperative, collaborative, constructive relationship that was very valuable to me. Now, most of us, I think, here know that Jim rides a bike, as you heard from the ICMA colleagues. And when he rides his bike, he rides here from home. So it is a clear commitment. And it struck us that some of aspects of his commitment to bicycling is a little bit like how he approaches his professional career. Sometimes there are breakouts in a race, and he goes off and digs into something, and especially financial issues. Sometimes he's riding in the peloton, in the platoon, and supporting others. And other times it's solitary, like those rides from home. All of those speak to his deep commitment to making things happen. So, on behalf of the board, and with that bicycling in mind, I have for you, and since it's wrapped, I will show the image. We have a Jim Malloy bikeway sign modeled on the Minuteman bike paths signs, but he's not going to be able to put it in his pocket.
And a special thanks to the DPW. We could not make that on our own. Thank you so much to all those that had a piece of making that happen. Next up, we will have our next senior member, Susie Barry, come up. Susie?
Thank you, Doug. Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to see you all here this afternoon. So I had the distinct honor about 6 years ago of welcoming Jim to Lexington. And what a ride it has been. I'm not sure you expected at that very first select board meeting, we were going to say, hey, tonight is flu shot night, roll up your sleeve. But that's how we started with Jim in Lexington, and it has been an adventure. His very first special town meeting with us that November, we had a wonderful development project coming forward that did not get the votes it needed in town meeting. And Jim, I think you were used to open town meeting on a Saturday with like potluck dinner or something, very casual. And so that night he went home, and I believe you were up till about 3 in the morning, working with the developer, and came back the next night with a successful package that passed town meeting. And that is now 45 and 55 Watertown Street. So again, it speaks to Jim's dedication and his devotion to the town and to all things that are good for the town. And during my time as chair, you spend a lot of time onboarding and you spend a lot of time talking. And I'm going to say for his colleagues in the municipal world, you know Jim can talk, because we know Jim can talk. And through those conversations, what I learned is that Jim has an immense love for his family, for Kay, for Pete, and for Brian. He would talk about you guys a lot and share different things that you were going through. So thank you for sharing him with us. It's not always easy. He also has an immense love of travel. Some of you have traveled with him, and he has traveled with Kay a lot. And when he would tell us where he was traveling to, we'd kind of go, huh, that's interesting. I never thought of going there on a trip. But he always had a wonderful time. He has an immense love of athletics and riding his bike, as Joe said, and running and doing those types of things and being active. But the one other thing we picked up on is Jim has an immense love of food and is a bit of a foodie, because we would always hear about the different restaurants he was in, the different regions in Italy and France and Vietnam and places like that. And so there was even one random text one time, I believe to me, where you told me what you were making for dinner. I can't pronounce it. I don't even know what it was. It sounded amazing. You're like, oops, that text was meant for Kay. So we have a gift for you. We have a gift for you because, Adam, here's an idea for the 351 conference. A little plug there for MMA, that perhaps you should do a town manager version of Top Chef. Town manager retired Top Chef. Yes. So we know Jim has a love for food and for cooking, and so this is something for you. If you want to open, I'm told you have to open it. Yes, you should have opened Joe's. That's what I was told. I didn't wrap. I think that blame that on Doug. Did you tape the whole thing?
No.
So this is a custom-made cutting board for you to practice your culinary skills on and bring it to Top Chef retired town manager version. While you actually do that work-life balance thing, because there'll be no more work in it that we talked about at your interview. I believe that was my question to you, of make sure you maintain your work-life balance and all your interests. So thank you so much for your dedication to all 34,000 plus or minus residents of the town. It has been a pleasure to work with you, and we have done a lot, in good times and in bad.
Thank you, Susie. And next up, we have our Vice Chair, Jill Hay.
So I get to add to the accolades of thanks and commemoration of all that you have done. And I think, a lot of people have talked about your love of travel. I actually got to travel with you. We got to go to France and visit our sister city, Antony. And we know that you have brought to us that same sort of passion, the technical skills, the mechanical understanding of how to operate a municipality. And we have been the beneficiaries of that. And as you move on to pursue many of your passions that you now have time to further, we hope that you will have that same mechanical excellence as you pursue everything, including your biking. And on behalf of both the Select Board and the Library Trustees, we have a couple of books that we've selected that will be added to the Cary Library collection. They have special bookmarks in them that commemorate you and your service to Lexington. So in honor of that,
called The Art of Cycling, Philosophy, Meaning, and a Life on Two Wheels.
Thank you, Jill. Next up, we will have Mark Sandine.
Jim must have realized he was coming to a unique town when the very first question he was asked by the select board during his public interview session was, "Would you support hiring a sustainability director?" And Jim answered that question with an emphatic yes, that he'd love to have a sustainability director on his team, and the rest is history. One of Jim's first actions as a new town manager was facilitating the approval of the town's integrated building design and construction policy, the first joint policy of the select board and the school committee in the town's history. And that policy called for setting high-performance standards for indoor air quality, focusing on the health of students and town staff in our schools and municipal buildings. And it also challenged the town to build highly resilient, all-electric buildings, maximizing the use of renewable energy. And since that time, the town has led the Commonwealth by building 2 net zero schools, Hastings and Lexington Children's Place, and an all-electric HVAC fire station and police station buildings. Jim's also ensured that all of the existing buildings are covered by a similar high-performance building policy, and the fire station won a national award for sustainability. Jim championed updating Lexington's Sustainable Action Plan, supporting the adoption of updated climate action and resilience actions titled Resilient Lexington last year, that includes the goal that all town buildings will be powered by 100% renewable energy by 2035. And Jim also facilitated the town's adoption of the fleet electrification policy, calling for the town to prioritize the purchase of electric vehicles. And he led by example, being one of the first town employees to drive an all-electric vehicle himself. And he recently sent a financial analysis to the select board showing how much that transition to electric vehicles is saving the town significant money in our transportation budget. The town now has 18 all-electric vehicles in its fleet, including now 3 all-electric e-transit cargo vans. And Jim is always happy to tell anyone who asks how much he loves driving his Ford Mustang Mach-E electric vehicle. And the select board, knowing how sad Jim is going to be to leave his favorite vehicle behind, the select board thought we'd give him a model Ford Mach-E Mustang to thank him for his efforts and to remember his time here electrifying Lexington. We wish Jim only the best as he retires, where his focus will now shift to an even lower carbon footprint vehicle, his bicycle, as he plans to bike from coast to coast this fall in his retirement. Thank you, Jim.
It's amazing what you can get on Etsy. That's all I have to say. So Jim, it's now my turn. And, you know, you've been with us for 6 years, but really this incredible 37-year journey that you've been on has really helped so many communities, not just Lexington. You know, not only navigating budgets, but, you know, you got a pandemic thrown in there, and you never lost sight of the big picture, which we always appreciated. And you always looked at how do we make the community better. And I just wanted to say thank you. We had so many projects here in Lexington that we saw go through under your tenure. Beautiful streetscape that everyone is so proud of now that it's completed. Beautiful police station next door and countless other things. But what really has impressed a lot of us is your fiscal responsibility and how you've skillfully managed the finances of the town and always ensured that our essential services were never compromised. And it's through your steady leadership that you were able to, see this through. But beyond projects, it's really about all the relationships you've built with all the people in this room, whether they were a colleague at another town, a person working in a department head, a person on a committee, which we know we have lots of committees here in Lexington, which the town does not run without the committees, and you've been great working with all those different groups. But this has been a long journey for you, and you've touched so many lives over so many communities and people we don't even know that aren't in this room. So as somewhat of a visual reminder for you, I'm going to have you come up and open this. This is a little bit of a visual reminder of how your leadership has stretched across the map of so many communities, and you've made each of those places better by being there. So this is a framed picture which Jim will show that says Jim Malloy, Leadership Across the Map, and it features all 5 communities where he has served: Alamosa County, Colorado, Village of Monticello, New York, Town of Sturbridge, Massachusetts, Town of Westboro, Massachusetts, and the Town of Lexington. And Jim, we can't thank you enough for all you have done for the Town of Lexington. Thank you. Jim, now it's your turn.
So I have the short notes and the more detailed notes. I'll probably read from the more detailed notes, and like some others, I need to put my readers on. So I'm filled with immense gratitude for the incredible journey that I've had over the past 37 years. I'm dropping flowers. I want to extend my thanks to every one of the elected officials from the 5 communities that I've served for. You've entrusted me with a career that I truly love. And for that, I'm forever grateful. As I reflected on my career and the major accomplishments that we achieved in each one of the communities that I've worked for, I had first thought about talking about those, but I know, as John would say, I would start talking forever because I get really excited about it. What I did is I also considered what those lessons were that I learned from each one of those major accomplishments. And so out of the 5 communities, I picked 5 projects that I'd worked on that I was particularly proud of, and I thought, from each one, what was that lesson that I learned? And so the lessons I learned were this. One is that collaboration is the key. When faced with challenging issues, working with a broad, diverse group that will develop more robust and effective solutions is the only way to go. That ethics really do matter. That every manager that's in this room that's associated with either ICMA or MMMA upholds the ICMA Code of Ethics. This code is the bedrock of our profession and ensures our actions reflect the highest professional and ethical standards. Third one was to think outside of the box, never shy away from proposing unconventional solutions. Next one is to pay it forward, which came from my job in Westboro, and that's to strive to make decisions that benefit not only the communities today, but also leave a positive legacy for future leaders. And the last one, which we've talked about the pandemic, is that we should all embrace innovation in crisis. Difficult times like pandemics often unveil opportunities for innovation, and we need to seize those moments to transform our organizations for the better. Throughout my career, one of the things I've always said is that we have an unbelievable career in local government. We have a remarkable opportunity every day to enhance the lives of our residents, which to me has made this the most rewarding career I could possibly have dreamed of. So I want to express my deep appreciation. I counted them up last night for all 42 elected officials that trusted me with their communities. and I've had the privilege to work with. Thank you for believing in me and allowing me to contribute to the betterment of these communities. More importantly, I also want to recognize the incredible individuals that I've collaborated with day in and day out on our staffs. And Lexington is second to none when it comes to the quality of the staff here. I've appreciated every moment that I've spent working with the staff alongside of them here in town. Finally, as other people have mentioned, I have to also recognize my family, who without, we certainly could never accomplish the kind of success that we've had over the years. So personally, I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm also looking forward to the continued success for all of our communities. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And I just want to give a huge thank you before everyone breaks up to Kathy Severance, our incredible office manager and events coordinator. I think most people think Jim was running the town for the last 6 years. It was actually Kathy who did it all. And thank you to the catering, Whitson's Catering, for the wonderful food. And as Jim said, please eat up and enjoy. Thank you so much, everybody.